Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the boundaries of time and space are bridged by the power of storytelling and the pursuit of knowledge. Today, we embark on a journey through one of the most pivotal moments in modern American history, the assassination of JFK. This event, which shook the very foundations of a nation, remains etched in our collective memory like the intricate lines on an ancient parchment. As we delve into this narrative, let us transport ourselves to an era marked by optimism and uncertainty, where the youthful vigor of a charismatic leader captivated the hearts of many, only to be tragically silenced. In the early 1960s, the world was a complex tapestry woven from threads of Cold War tensions, civil rights movements, and the burgeoning space age. It was against this backdrop that John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, emerged as a beacon of hope for a generation. His presidency, often referred to as the New Frontier, symbolized a new era of American leadership, one that promised to explore the uncharted territories of space, to confront the injustices of racial segregation, and to stand tall against the shadow of communism. To understand the events leading up to the assassination, it's crucial to immerse ourselves in the political climate of the time. The early 1960s were marked by significant challenges to Kennedy's leadership, from the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, which aimed to overthrow Fidel Castro's communist government, to the tense standoff during the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war. These events not only tested Kennedy's mettle as a leader, but also created a plethora of enemies, both foreign and domestic, who saw him as a formidable obstacle to their goals. Domestically, Kennedy faced opposition from various quarters, including Southern Democrats who were vehemently opposed to his civil rights agenda, and elements within the CIA and FBI who felt that his policies and leadership style undermined their authority and effectiveness. The civil rights movement, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., was gaining momentum, pushing for equality and justice in a society still grappling with the legacy of segregation and racism. As Kennedy navigated these treacherous waters, he also had to contend with the looming presence of Lee Harvey Oswald, a young man whose life was a testament to the complexities and contradictions of the American experience. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana, in 1939, Oswald grew up in a family marked by instability and poverty. His early life was a series of displacements and struggles, punctuated by a stint in the Marine Corps, where he became proficient in marksmanship and developed an interest in communism. Oswald's fascination with Marxism and his desire to defect to the Soviet Union led him on a journey that would take him from the streets of New Orleans to the plains of Minsk, Belarus. His time in the Soviet Union, however, was marked by disillusionment rather than fulfillment. Upon returning to the United States with his Russian wife, Marina, Oswald found himself increasingly isolated and embittered, his political beliefs and personal circumstances driving him further to the fringes of American society. In the spring of 1963, Kennedy announced a trip to Texas, aimed at boosting the Democratic Party's prospects in the state and reassuring key constituencies about his commitment to their causes. This decision would set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in tragedy. As the president's motorcade route through Dallas was made public, Oswald, now working at the Texas School Book Depository, began to formulate a plan that would change the course of history forever. As the autumn leaves began to fall in 1963, casting a golden glow over the bustling streets of Dallas, the city prepared for the arrival of President Kennedy. On November 21, 1963, Kennedy arrived in San Antonio, Texas, where he would begin a two-day trip across the state, aiming to mend fences with Texas Democrats and boost his chances for the 1964 presidential election. The next morning, Kennedy traveled to Fort Worth, where he attended a breakfast meeting with local business leaders, during which he spoke about the importance of military strength and space exploration. Following the event, Kennedy departed for Dallas's Love Field, where he would board an open-top limousine for a motorcade through the city. The sun cast its warm rays upon the crowds gathered along Elm Street as they eagerly awaited the president's arrival. At 11:55 a.m. Central Standard Time, Air Force One touched down at Love Field, and Kennedy, accompanied by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, Texas Governor John Connally, and his wife Nellie, stepped out onto the tarmac. As the presidential motorcade made its way through Dallas, it turned into Dealey Plaza, a picturesque park surrounded by tall buildings. The Texas Schoolbook Depository, where Lee Harvey Oswald had been working for several weeks, stood prominently at the northwest corner of the plaza. At 12:30 p.m., as the limousine passed through the plaza, shots rang out, and Kennedy slumped forward, struck by a bullet. Governor Connally, seated in front of Kennedy, was also hit. Chaos erupted as Secret Service agents rushed to respond, and the limousine sped away to Parkland Memorial Hospital, just a few miles away. The hospital's emergency room became the focal point of desperate efforts to save Kennedy's life. At 1:00 p.m., after a brief and frantic attempt to revive him, Kennedy was pronounced dead. The news sent shockwaves across the nation as Americans struggled to comprehend the tragedy that had unfolded in Dallas. In the hours that followed, Oswald, who had fled the Texas Schoolbook Depository, shot and killed Dallas police officer J.D. Tippit before taking refuge in the Texas Theater. At 1:50 p.m., police officers stormed into the theater, where they found Oswald hiding in the back of the cinema. After a brief scuffle, Oswald was taken into custody, marking the beginning of a new phase in the investigation into Kennedy's assassination. As the nation mourned the loss of its president, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn into office aboard Air Force One, with Jacqueline Kennedy by his side. The plane then took off for Washington, D.C., carrying the body of the fallen president, as the country teetered on the edge of chaos and uncertainty. The days that followed were filled with tributes and memorials, as Americans from all walks of life came together to pay their respects to the fallen president. On November 24, 1963, as Oswald was being transported through the basement of the Dallas Police Department headquarters, he was shot and killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. In a shocking turn of events that would further complicate the investigation into Kennedy's assassination. As the nation struggled to come to terms with the shocking events that had unfolded, the investigation into Kennedy's assassination continued to unfold. The Warren Commission, established by President Lyndon B. Johnson to investigate the assassination, spent several months gathering evidence and testimonies from key witnesses. In September 1964, the commission released its report, concluding that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in shooting Kennedy from the 6th floor of the Texas Schoolbook Depository building. However, the report's findings were met with skepticism by many, and conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination began to emerge. In the years that followed, numerous investigations and inquiries were conducted, including the Church Committee and the House Select Committee on Assassinations, but no consensus was ever reached on the events surrounding Kennedy's death. The assassination of JFK remained a topic of intense debate and speculation, with many Americans continuing to question the official narrative. As Robert F. Kennedy, John's brother, once said, "The probability of a lone gunman, with no intelligence training, with no support from any government or organization, carrying out this complex an operation, is extremely low." This sentiment echoed the sentiments of many who believed that there was more to the story than what had been officially revealed. As the decades passed, the assassination of JFK became an integral part of American history and culture. It marked a turning point in the nation's trajectory, leading to a growing distrust of government and institutions. The event also had a profound impact on the civil rights movement, as many of its leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., were deeply affected by Kennedy's death. Today, the assassination of JFK is remembered as a pivotal moment in American history, one that continues to fascinate and haunt the nation. Dealey Plaza, where Kennedy was shot, has become a place of pilgrimage for many, with thousands visiting each year to pay their respects to the fallen president. The legacy of the assassination of JFK can be seen in the numerous books, films, and documentaries that have been produced about the event. From Oliver Stone's JFK to Don DeLillo's Libra, the assassination has been reimagined and reinterpreted in countless ways, reflecting the ongoing fascination with this pivotal moment in American history. It serves as a reminder of the fragility of life, the power of human action, and the enduring importance of seeking truth and understanding in the face of uncertainty. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.